Paul Priest, how not to mend a bridge. How not to mend a bridge. Paul Priest.
As those of you with siblings know, it is the eldest sibling's responsibility to prepare the younger siblings for the cold, hard realities of the world. As you may guess, I am the oldest sibling in my family, and I prepared my siblings for this role through teasing, occasional beatings, and all-around tough love. Perhaps as a result of this, I have always had a somewhat estranged relationship with my younger sister, Shelley, who, for some reason, didn't understand or appreciate what I was doing for her. Now, my sister and brother-in-law live in Texas now, and recently I had the opportunity to mend bridges. I saw via Facebook that they were going to be in Kentucky for a wedding, much closer than Texas. Now, the wedding was for one of my brother-in-law's cousins, and I didn't know anyone who was going to be at the wedding, but I called my sister and I said, Shelley, get me an invitation. My sister, being the loving sibling that she is, she asked if I could come to the wedding. Now, they said yes, but with a caveat. I could only come to the reception after everyone had eaten. I couldn't come to the ceremony. They weren't going to feed me. But I could come for the toasts and the very tail end and see my sister and brother-in-law for the first time in quite a while. So I was thrilled. I'm going to a wedding. I get on the road, I'm headed for Kentucky. I text my brother-in-law, where's the wedding? Now, of course, the wedding is in Kentucky. You all, I'm sure, are familiar with weddings in North Carolina or other states. Usually, the wedding will be at a church, a banquet hall, but not in Kentucky. In Kentucky, the wedding was going to be at a horse racing track.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, well, of course, there must be a chapel or something at the horse racing track. No. It was in a barn at the horse racing track. And so I pull up, and it's this giant white barn, and I walk in, and my first thought is, well, of all the barns to choose, this is actually a pretty nice barn. It didn't really smell like horse at all. I got there just in time. I missed the ceremony, I missed the meal, I got there just for the toasts. And one other thing. My brother-in-law's family, all being from Kentucky, they're all a bunch of good old Kentucky boys. Now, if you have any family from Kentucky or know anyone from there, you'll know that the men of Kentucky are very brave men. However, there are three things that they fear. They fear God, they fear the government, and they fear dancing. To their great misfortune, the bride really wanted there to be some great dancing. Now, I, of course, am not from Kentucky. I come from Chicago, from Charlotte, from California, from all over, and I love to dance. And I wasn't afraid of making a fool of myself because I didn't know anyone else at this wedding. It was perfect. So I get out on the dance floor, I teach a little flamenco to the flower girls, I boogie with the bridesmaids, I twerk with the teens. 70 years old, if she was a day, came over to me and asked for a dance. So we started dancing a little bit, and she knew how to dance. She had the moves. Even for 70 years old, she could still do it on 4-inch heels. So we danced. We had a good time, and she went on her way. Now the evening continued. I danced a little bit more. I made perhaps somewhat of a fool of myself. But again, I didn't know anyone. And the evening was winding down. We get to the very last song of the night, and what comes on but Frank Sinatra. And what do you know? That same little old lady comes over to me, and she says to me, she says, "Paul, I love dancing with a man who can lead. Swing me a couple more times." And so I took her, and I swung her, and I dipped her, and I spun her out. And the song ended. I gave her a little hug. She gave me a little kiss on the cheek. And she turned to leave, and I wish I could say it was the alcohol, but I wasn't drinking. And I gave her a little pat on the butt. I didn't think anything of it. I walked out. And as I'm walking out, my sister grabs my arm. And she, in the quietest voice she can manage, she hisses at me. "What are you doing?" And I shrug my shoulders. And she says, "That's the minister who officiated the wedding." And in a maybe somewhat related development, I have not talked with my sister since.